Welcome back to the Brick Abbey. This is going to be one of the final videos here. I think this should be the last video. We're going to do this final tile in the Harry Potter mosaic. This is the Slytherin House Crest, and we're going to do this final tile. I have attached all of these up here. They're all together, but I'm going to wait and do the final row. Slapping this on and then sliding it up is a far, far better way of doing it. So that final row is going to get put up there momentarily. If you like the content, please make sure and hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you made it this far in the series and you've been supporting the channel, we appreciate that so much. Thank you. This has been a fun one. I've continued to say I was a little worried after like the first video. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be fun. I have enjoyed it. I hope anybody watching the whole series has also enjoyed it. It is a very different approach to Lego builds, like pretty much only working with the studs. But I do find this to be really fun. It's been very satisfying to watch it all come together, and I hope you guys are enjoying that as well. Be sure to always leave comments below if you got feedback or ideas, if there's sets that you'd love to see, if there's builds that you'd like to see. If you'd want to see something done differently with the content, feel free to let us know. Doesn't mean that we'll do it, but we do like to get feedback. We had somebody ask for live streams recently, and this is just a side project hobby channel. This is not my main gig, so I cannot commit that kind of time. But hey, you never know. You never know what might happen in this world on YouTube. Maybe one day this channel's bigger and better and more successful than all my others, and we'll see what happens if that were to take place. I am at your mercy with regard to that. I don't have really any control over that. I can just make the videos and hope for the best. And our approach, I do think our approach is a little bit different. So we are moving along here. This final corner is going to be very much a bunch of the slanted lines and the final curve of the snake's tail. And then I've got to figure out where in the book I need to go for the for the outer framework once this thing's all put together. So I'll pause the recording at that point in time, and we'll kind of figure that out, and then we'll come back in and we'll be good. We will be good to go. And this has been really fun. It's so relaxing. Obviously you don't have to record and do a YouTube channel, but having something like this I think is important. This can just be a nice way to break from everything else that's going on. And I don't know if escapism is healthy. I think escaping, I would consider it more of the posture of you kind of need to be able to retreat, right? Retreat from the day. So just you have a quiet space and a spot where you can just read a good book, or I don't know, drink a really nice cup of tea or something. I'm not a tea drinker, but hey, I'm just throwing ideas out here. I think it's important. I think escapism is a danger. You can't pretend that the things aren't happening, right? You have to acknowledge if things aren't going well or if things are kind of bad, but it also, I think, is good to be able to shut that off for just a second, and get out from underneath of it for just a moment. Just let yourself breathe. It might actually help shrink it, whatever it is, right? Sometimes things just seem so big in the moment. The more distance I get from things that were bad or traumatic, I can still acknowledge them for what they were and, you know, sort of grieve it or process it or whatever. But the more distance you get from it, it's like anything. The further you get away from a tree or a mountain or something, it gets smaller. That's generally kind of the way, whoops, I think about these things. So we're going to have to complete the pattern here with the 4. You can only have 4 whites to complete it. Oops. We're getting real low in the bowls here. It's not as easy. I can't just reach in and grab. Getting down to the final wire. There we go. There we go. Coming together though. It really is. We're almost out of the snake. We're almost out of the woods here with the snake. Almost finished. We'll just be doing the pattern then at that point. Okay. I like their use of diagonals in these. I think it's really cool, but it also can get a little difficult. I can get a little lost in here in the shuffle. You know, it's like there's so many lines and so many spaces. Oops. We just had we have an imposter in the white bowl now. A gray piece hanging out in there. There we go. Can't have that. Can't be grabbing the wrong ones. That would be really confusing. I wonder what many people did with this approach, though. Like, how did they do it? I would think bowls, or at least... Come on, you little guy. Maybe Ziplocs, you know? So that way, when they take a break... I can't imagine sitting down and doing this in one run. Holy moly. That would be hard. I moved at a pretty good clip. I mean, I know I'm talking, which might slow me down a teeny bit, but generally speaking, every 2 tiles was about 30 minutes. That's a decent amount of work, you know? Alright, so this one's going to be... It's going to go 2 whites in there. It's going to dig in to help get that final snake. That final snake swoop's got to go. Whoops. Thank you. Get back here. There we go. And then we're going to go 2 blacks. We're almost done with the snake. He's almost finished. Oops. And we're going to go 3 in this time. And then that's going to help us complete our pattern here with the white. It's going to go 4 out. It's always 4 before the gray to maintain that diagonal line pattern. Okay. Get these guys on here. I think I like the checkerboard pattern up there more than the diagonal line pattern, but I think it's cool. It gives it that classic crest feel to have alternating patterns. I kind of wonder what the history of that is, you know? I wonder what the history there is, why those patterns exist, why they would use color in the way that they did, you know? I don't know. I don't even have a guess, you know? I'm assuming it was probably related to colors that represented the kingdoms that would use them, which ultimately led to, you know, flying flags now. Like your country has a flag and has colors. That probably has, you know, its roots in, I would think, medieval behavior. And they would go out, have their flags and their color guards out there, right? I don't know. I'm just guessing. And maybe that was a really strong way to display the colors, you know, with like the chevron patterns or the checkerboard, or, you know, makes it real visible from far away. Be interesting thing to study. People that are brushed up on their medieval history could probably tell us why, when it first started, what the different symbols might have meant. I mean, it makes sense to use animal imagery, you know, eagles and lions and things like this, that evokes that strong imagery of you've got to strike fear in your enemies' hearts, but you've also got to, you know, make your people feel like you're strong. Oops. And it makes sense to use animals because they would be the most relatable signs of strength in nature. You know, nobody can really go toe to toe with a lion. Ah, dropped it. These little guys love to go rolling. That would be a cute shirt, you know? Have some Legos like rolling off the table. It's like they see me rolling. They hating. You could have the person like frustrated that their Legos are rolling off the table. Makes me think of a book I used to read as a kid. It's the one where the spaghetti, the meatball roll on top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese. I lost my poor meatball when somebody sneezed. I believe that's how the book opens. It rolled off the table and onto the floor, and then my poor meatball rolled out the door. That's it. That's all I can remember. Sorry. That's all I got. That's it. That was a book. It was a song. It had notes in it. I can picture the art style. It's a really cool art style. And I can see it in my mind's eye. Oops. So that way you could sing it, I guess, and play it on a piano. It had you know, musical notes on the bottom, like, of each page. It's funny how you remember things like that, like books and things. We were in the store the other day, and there was this little Fisher-Price cash register. They're bringing back some of those old toys, and I was like, I had that when I was a kid. And like my daughter was kind of dumbstruck. She's like, what? How? Like, because, you know, she kind of understands that, you know, the toys of today are not the same as the toys that I had. And not because I constantly do the back in my day. I don't do that. That's obnoxious. But I do, you know, periodically tell her, like, oh yeah, toys, you know, toys were different when I was a kid. I had a t-shirt delivered from a sponsor, and it had a cassette tape on it with all these cool, like, rainbow colors, and the tapes, like, being kind of, like, artistically strewn about the shirt. And she looks at it and she says, what's that? You know, because some of my shirts have, like, skulls on them from this company, or, you know, really cool buildings or whatever. And I'm like, that's a cassette tape. She's like, yeah, I don't, she doesn't know what that is. I thought, oh, wow, this is one of those moments you have. This is one of those moments where you realize, you're like, yep, there's a lot of time that's passed since I was a kid when cassette tapes were, you know, standard. So I do have a touch point to kind of like connect it for her. I said, you know, you guys go to the library and you get CDs, and there's books on the CDs. She said, yeah. I said, well, I had these things called tapes, and it was a piece of plastic, and there was tape inside of it. It wasn't sticky, but it was on a spool, and it would run through. It gets, you know, it would turn and get run through a piece of metal, and then I could listen to what was on it. Same way there's music or recordings on CDs. So she had her touch point of understanding. All right, here we go. We're gonna slap this on like that, and then we're gonna, if it would oblige me, the top one went together so easily. You just got to get it started. I think it's being stubborn with me. Of course, it's gonna be stubborn when I'm recording, not when I did it when no one was watching. Let me move these. We're about to have a just a terrible situation where studs go everywhere. There we go. Got it. That is very satisfying. So let me just pause, and I'm going to figure out the next step, because I don't think the instructions like immediately go to the framing. See, it's going to go to Hufflepuff. So let me figure that out, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so a little time lapse there for you. I did skip one part, putting these pieces all the way around. They are the pieces that they look like this. They're that kind that has like a little piece coming out. See? If we can get the autofocus to not be so cantankerous. So I went ahead and did that. So we're going to now do the part where the next stage, they actually have you flip it over. And I wanted everybody to be able to see this part, because I thought this would actually be pretty cool. That going around and putting those in was a little tedious and kind of tough. So the first thing that it wants me to do is it wants me to use 2x6s, which they're right here, and it wants me to go to the corners and just sort of stick it to those pieces that are on that outer edge. So we're going to do that. We're going to get these going here. You're basically, this should have it being a little bit more sturdy. I will say, when I was flipping it around and turning it around, it was a little, it wasn't bad, but it was just a little nerve-wracking. I was like, this thing feels like it's going to snap. So I would just advise you to be cognizant of that when you get to that point. You're flipping it around. Try to hold it, really, really well, so that you don't have to worry about putting strain. I know Lego, like the plastic, is like really, really strong. It just didn't really, I don't know, it didn't feel, I didn't like the way that it felt. So I was like, well, I'm going to do this not being recorded, and then if we have any issues. Okay. So that's the 4 corners, and then it wants me to take 8 of these really long guys here, and we're going to go and connect all the way across, and it should fit perfectly. There we go. So we're just kind of building this outer frame, and oh, I did this one totally wrong. I wasn't paying attention. It's supposed to be in the corner. Yeah, all right. There we go. Got that on there. Make sure if you're doing this, you're on a sturdy table. Don't want to have any accidents. Okay, I got to do a bit of a reach here, making sure I'm not invading the camera space with my microphone or my head. We try to have some mystique and mystery here. Not that you can't, come watch me on my gaming content if you really are curious what I look like. Most of you that watch this content actually do consume the gaming content, and we appreciate that very, very much. Okay. What is next? Okay, so now it wants us to build out the corners. Okay, so we're actually going to take 4 of these square pieces, like so, and then it wants me to take 8 of these little individual guys. We already got 4. There's 6, and there is 8, and then we're going to take 4 corner pieces as well, like so. And we're going to build out the corners by doing that. 1 corner piece and the 2 individuals, and then you just slap it down. Okay? This is actually pretty easy. I would say this is easier than the studs. This is kind of your victory lap here after all your hard work. This is pretty straightforward. This is a little bit more at home for Lego aficionados. You know, this feels like a cozy meal after all that work. And then there's 8 of these guys. I kind of started separating them. You guys didn't get your organization video this time around, so sorry about that. And these are going to be like, looks like joint. Okay, no, it does not overlap on the squares. It's just connecting like that. And it's just vertically. Yeah, just vertically. So we might be doing something horizontal in a second. But for now, we're just going straight up and down. 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th up here. So that's 2 rows of 4. That's all 8. Okay. All right. Like so. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. Next page, it wants us to flip it over. So this is the fun part. Oh, it already feels more stable. It already feels more stable. Yeah. So this is a nice part to really enjoy. So we're gonna be doing 8 little 4x4s, and it looks like they're gonna be going in between all of these little spots. They have their perfect little spot waiting for them. There we go. And I'm gonna have to do this without looking up there, but I can faintly make out. There we go. We did it. We did it. Now we gotta do the right side. It's very awkward to be hunting for pieces in a pile. That's not my process, but it's gonna work for this. Okay, now we take 12 by 1s. I'm sorry, no, 12 of the, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. This should fit like so, okay? So you can't really mess this up if you do that initial step correctly. Then these pieces are just going to automatically fit where they're supposed to go because they're the exact right size. Like so. It's actually really fun seeing this part come together. That outer edge, just giving it a little bit more stability, and also just making it, I think just it gives that layered feel like it's a framed piece of art. Really, really glad they went the distance here. Okay, so now we're building up. So we're going to take these to the corners like so. And then you're going to take one single and put it in the corner like that. So that'll go there. And then that will go there. Like that. And then the little single is going to join them. This is probably my favorite part of this one. Just kind of get to see your work in front of you, all completed, and just slowly, you know, build a frame around it. I did see that, you know, some people didn't like these sets. That's fine. Everybody's different. Okay, now 8 of these. And this should go all the way across. And again, if you did everything right, there's no question where these go now, because it's like a perfect fit. Okay. 2 more after this one. There we go. Perfect. All right. And now it's time to do some smoothing work. So the corners are going to get a corner with nubs. And there should be, yeah, these guys are the small ones. And we're going to go like that. Okay? So every corner is going to get one. It's got the nubs, and then the short smooths. Okay? Up there. And then like so. Well, I hope a lot of people make it this far, and I hope you're enjoying this section of the video series as much as I am. This is very satisfying. Okay, and now we just get to line the whole thing with smooth pieces. I'm gonna just really, for the sake of the video, let's get that out of the way so that people can just enjoy watching the completed mosaic. Get this smoothing frame around the outer edge. It's really nice. Like, it really adds some depth along the edge here. I'm gonna have to stand up when it's all done and lift it and show you, because from your perspective you can't quite see how the frame is adding this depth to it that I think is just, it's very subtle, but it really makes me want to hang this on the wall. It really does. What would be awesome is if when you buy a set like this, if they could give you a companion set of the tiles, so you could build all 4 crests. That would be awesome, but I don't think it would work because we had to use so much of certain colors, the gray and the white. So you'd have to, if you wanted all 4 crests on your wall, you'd have to buy the set 4 times, which the fact that you can take it apart and build the other crest, I think, is a huge value to the consumer. And that is going to be the final step. So this final step is only necessary if you are going to hang it on a wall, right? You might lean this somewhere. You might not actually do this. So this part, what you do is you make, you can see here, I'll hold this up. That's basically to hang. You see what we're going to do? We're going to put it, is it flush in the corner? You sort of put it flush in the corner like so, and yeah, that's at the top. I was just making sure I was doing it right. I was like, that'd be embarrassing. Flip it over and have it be upside down. Do the same thing with this one, right? You put your 2 attachment, guys to attach it, and then you it's so hard to see. I can't see if I'm doing it right. There we go. Okay, so those are up there, in the event that you would want to hang it. And that is going to be the final completed build of the Slytherin Crest, the Harry Potter Slytherin Crest. Now, let me just go ahead. I think I'll do a full review here, but I want to pick it up for you. Give me 1 second here. You got to hear the chair. So just, if you can see how it adds that edge. Look at that. That just a little bit of a lip. It's so nice. Very, very nice. It's super sturdy in this frame, right? It's no longer like flexing in my hand. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this build, and we'll do the other ones as well. There's a tool that this comes with to help get all of the studs up. So make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell button. Check out all of our other series. We have a lot of other series here, complete builds. If you've got suggestions, if you've got things that you'd like to say, hey, this would be a great set, this would be a great build, feel free to leave that in the comments below. as well as you can always send us sets. I think we have the wish list linked below if you ever feel like supporting the channel in that way. Looking forward to getting this channel to around 1,000 subscribers and just growing from there. And you were here at the beginning if you watched this when it first went up. If you're watching it years later, thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video here on the Brick Abbey.